Welcome back to Favorite Friday. For the second case of this video, we are going to Maine. It's been at least a year since I've been to Maine. For those of you who know, it was basically a case where like a woman unknowingly stopped the potential assassination of Obama. If I remember to link it, I definitely should. Or if you like searching my channel name in Maine, it should pop up first since that video's been up longer. I think or maybe this video pop up first. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, we're going back to Maine. This case is not as well known. It happened back in 2001. So the same year I was born. Our victim in this case is a 5-year-old girl. So had she still been alive, she would be probably about like 27 right now. Because I'm currently 22. So it's one of those cases where I get kind of emotional knowing that we could have grown up together. You know, it's like a 5-year age gap. Our paths could have eventually crossed. Because, like, you never know. Anyway, so our killer for this case is actually a DCFS worker and not a foster parent like I normally have in these cases. So that's definitely something interesting to mention. There's definitely a lot of people that are at blame for this case. This case, I can easily see it being at least a good 30 to 40 minutes video just from looking at my notes. And so we'll see how long this video lasts. I'm going to give everything that I can that is publicly available because there's like information that was about the case that never got released because, you know, DCFS didn't want to take responsibility after Logan, who was the subject of the story, had passed. So I'm giving everything that I found that was publicly available and confirmed. And of course, sources down below as always. So with that being said, I'm going to quit my rambling. Let's go and get started. We're going to start off with Logan. Logan Lynn Marr was born on October 14th, 1995, to her mother, Christy Baker, and her father, John Wagg III. Christy apparently was born on April 28th, 1977, so she's 18 at the time that Logan's born. Apparently, her parents had split, like, before she was born, and so obviously Christy had to move back in with her mom, Caitlin. And so Logan's hobbies, obviously later on, not right when she was born, were said to have been, like, fishing, making snow angels, because apparently in Maine it like snows like a lot. The winters are like pretty bad. Pizza and black olives and butterflies, which most kids that I know at least don't like black olives. So I just thought that was interesting. And as far as her dislikes, apparently she preferred like picking out her own clothes. So yeah, dislikes were you picking out her own clothes, because I guess she preferred to pick out her own outfits. Peas, fish sticks, and going to bed, which I could see the last one because, you know, yeah, what kid, you know, likes going to bed. So when Logan is about like 6 months old, her mom, Christy, and her, they move out of Caitlin's house, because like I said, she was living with Caitlin, because apparently Caitlin did not agree with the man that Christy was dating, and apparently this man had substance abuse problems. He was not named, it was just said there was a man that Christy was dating. So then in May of 1996, so if you do the math, Logan's like 7 to 8 months old, apparently she calls Caitlin, the grandmother, called social services saying that she doesn't believe that Christy would be a good mom because, like I said, she's 18, or I guess 19 at this point now, and she's too immature of a mother. Apparently, DHS came in, no issues were found. They did a drug test on Christy to make sure, because obviously you're dating somebody doing drugs, more than likely you are also yourself doing drugs. Christy came back clean, so she wasn't doing drugs, so that's good. She was given a list as to things that you're supposed to do. So I guess like social services won't get called on you. And also anybody that you date, you're supposed to run it by us and get it approved before you can even have them around Logan. Especially if this person is not the father of Logan. And then also they demanded that she cut off a relationship with Caitlin, her own mother, because apparently Caitlin was married to a man with a sexual conviction of a teenager, even though like apparently it later came out to like that apparently he was innocent. But at the time they were like, yeah, no. Can't be around no child, you gotta have sexual conviction. And as another order, she was also made to go to counseling and parenting classes. Caitlin and Mitch would apparently split, and I guess like this allowed her to technically get in contact with Caitlin again, because they pretty much said the only reason you couldn't be around Caitlin was because of, I guess, your sex offender stepfather, so they split. So back in contact with her mom. Christy would unfortunately get pregnant. Okay, so she got pregnant again, but unfortunately this pregnancy apparently was a product of rape. So the man who had violated her got her pregnant. So that's the father of our second child, Bailey, right? So she has a second daughter named Bailey. Unfortunately, DHS did not believe that Bailey was a part of rape, and Ashley was like, yeah, we're going to test all your known male partners to see if they're the father, like paternity test on them. They all came back negative. Who the father of Logan actually, not Logan, Bailey actually wasn't publicly revealed, but she, she did try to tell him, hey, and whether something happened to that man, it did not say. I would like to assume not. Otherwise, I would have said, oh, he got like 10 years for this, So yeah, so that's already hard. Logan is like 2. She has a new sister now. And apparently they're hanging out at Caitlin's house because, that's their grandmother. And Mitch had with the babysitter. And apparently they had a babysitter, but they were at Caitlin's house. So just like Logan, Caitlin, the babysitter, and Bailey, right? So then Mitch had apparently arrived, even though they're no longer together. So I guess maybe he was getting the rest of his stuff. And it specifies exactly what he was there for. Apparently a neighbor saw Mitch, knew Mitch was not supposed to be there because of kids. He calls DHS. DHS then goes and get a court order to get legal permission to go take custody of Logan. Christy apparently finds out before they're able to get Logan. So she gets Logan. I don't even know what happened to Bailey. She gets Logan, goes on a bus to Boston, Massachusetts. She calls back home and is told that if you don't bring your child back, even though that's literally your child, you're going to get charged with kidnapping. And obviously Christy didn't want that. So she involuntarily, if that's even the right, I guess involuntarily, brings Logan back to Maine, has her stay with a friend while she goes to the hospital because she's not feeling well. And by the time she's already out of the hospital, DHS already found out the friend's address and got Logan from the friend. So of course, Logan was taken to the hospital for a welfare check to make sure that she was okay and everything came back good. Christy, of course, called the hospital trying to see which hospital her child's at because, that's literally her child. And they were like, we're going to charge you with trespassing if you even come up here. So then apparently Christy then goes into a facility for unwed mothers. Because like I said, she wasn't married to John, but she was a mom. So hence the unwed mother thing. And then apparently she was working on her GED. Because apparently she didn't graduate high school. So then John Wag, Logan's father, asked like, hey, can I get custody of her? Since like apparently for some unknown reason Christy's not eligible to. Because who better than her actual parents? Because I guess he was trying to keep her in the family, as one would. And he was denied simply because he was a male in his 20s. So they didn't think that a male in his 20s would be responsible enough to raise a child. And then he was like, well, can't she go to my mom? Because my mom, she's an older lady. She has a lot of experience with kids. Can she do it? And also she's a female. So can she do it? And the mom was apparently up for it because, that's her grandbaby. And they also said no to the mom. They also said no to his mom. So then apparently he goes to a custody hearing to get custody of his child. And then he is charged with child abandonment, even though apparently missing some of the meetings. But the meetings that he missed apparently came out that he didn't even know about. So Logan at this point is in foster care. Christy would somehow be able to get like 3 days of unsupervised visits with her. And then at this point, I thought Bailey had already been born for some reason. Apparently she was still pregnant with Bailey when all this was going on. And Bailey was finally born on December 8th, 1998. And then apparently December 11th, so 3 days after she literally just gave birth, she moves into a new apartment. Then DHS comes in and says, you got to cut off contact with Caitlin again. Didn't specify a reason this time because Mitch is not in the picture. So like what's going on this time? And you saw how we took away Logan. Now we're going to take away Bailey if you don't cut off contact with your mom. However, apparently she was allowed to stay in contact with her mom only through videotape. And I would assume just so they can watch like what exactly the two are saying to each other to make sure they're not like conspiring against DHS. Because obviously they're doing some shady shit at this point. Logan was allowed weekend visits with her mom, which probably explained the whole like 3-day unsupervised visit thing, right? And then apparently she got Logan back in March of 1999. So Christy would apparently get a new boyfriend that was had to get approved by DHS. He did get approved, so Christy moves Logan and Bailey up to like Sabbaticus, which is like another city in Maine, like a whole hour away, in June of what looks like 1999 to be with him. By August, so not even a full 2 months later, they're moving to Gulliford, which is another city in Maine. So I assume that those two split. And then in November that same year, she's moving the kids down to Florida to go be with her biological dad, because apparently her dad had promised her to help her get a license, because apparently she didn't have a license, so she wasn't even driving. But she was trying to improve her life, so you gotta give her credit for that. So apparently, Logan has a foster mom, and so her and Christy's stepmom, so her father's wife, so I guess the dad also had remarried, so not right. Apparently, they started a friendship. Logan would admit that she missed her grandmother Caitlin and missed making snow angels. And she didn't understand like why she was in this situation. So then February 2000, Christy gets bus tickets to take her and the kids back up to Maine from Florida with Caitlin, her mom. And then Caitlin apparently is dating a guy named Ron. And so Ron has a son named Paul. And so Christy and Paul start dating, even though that technically, if y'all's parents were to marry, that technically make y'all step siblings. But I guess it wasn't considered taboo since they weren't married. Anyway, so then Christy marries her would-have-been stepbrother on March 4, 2000. And for reference on Paul's history, apparently he had a record from 1990 for robbery, and apparently there was a domestic charge from when apparently he had grabbed a ex-girlfriend's shirt, and she called the police on him. And so on March 7th, so they've only been married like not even 3 days, DHS had already opened a case and had 2 police officers and a social worker, who I assume was named Allison, because her name comes up repeatedly in this case. And so we got 2 police officers and a social worker show up to the house. They were trying to claim that Paul had drug problems and was hitting Christy in front of the kids, neither of which have ever been proven. And then apparently there was a hearing that Christy didn't even find out about, even though she's like literally the mother of these 2 children. And then apparently it would be mentioned to the court that Paul had hit her repeatedly multiple times, her moving multiple times in a year, which most people don't even move that much in like 10 years, but you move multiple times in just in the span of 1. Basically anything to try to make Christy look bad. So then Allison apparently just like comes into the house and just flat out tells Christy, we're taking your kids. And then Caitlin apparently would have arrived during, Caitlin the grandma, she would have arrived during all this. And she's like, well, and they would tell her like, you're not allowed to get out of your car. And then apparently she had tried to like fasten the seatbelts on these babies, make sure they're safe. Because, Logan's like 4. Well, not even 4. She's 3. And then Bailey is not even 2. So, make sure these babies are safe. You gotta secure the seatbelt on them. And apparently they drove off without properly securing them in. So then the girls are sent to go stay with a woman named Mary Beth Anderson, who apparently was keeping notes of interactions that she was having with the kids. And she was also told to look out for signs of potential abuse. So I assume that's why she's taking the notes. Christy would ask, could I take custody? Not Christy. Caitlin would ask, could I take custody of the kids, since apparently my own daughter can't do it. And apparently Maine is not a state where like the grandparents could, or primary option for custody. So they told her no, and they gave her the reason of an untreated agoraphobia from years before. And this was despite apparently there being proof that she had gotten treatment for this agoraphobia years ago. So then Caitlin was given an option. You can visit your grandchildren, but you have to testify against your own daughter in court. And so Mary Beth would say that the kids seem comfortable around me, but yet they seem kind of scared of my husband. And apparently there was like another man there. There was another man apparently that would evaluate her, and they would be scared whenever there was a man around. So this is the part where I kind of don't like Mary Beth. Allison and Mary Beth, they get together. They're telling the evaluation man, well, they're telling them false information, such as that both these girls had been violated, which they never found any proof that they had been violated, and that all of Christy's husbands, even though she's only been married once, and that was to Paul, were on the sex offender registry, even though Paul apparently was not on the sex offender registry. So like I said, they find no proof of this, and they decide to recommend counseling. Christy will be allowed to see her daughters like 4 days a week. These visits are getting canceled for like various reasons. And Christy would apparently record these visits with a supervisor in the room. So apparently, you're getting these visits, but they have to be supervised. So then on August 28th, 2000, Mary Beth would apparently take Logan to go swimming. Apparently she refused to go swimming at first, but then apparently went swimming eventually, and then didn't want to take her swimsuit off when she got home. I guess not home, but back to Mary Beth's house. She would tell Logan to go to her room. I assume to change out of the swimsuit because you're done swimming. And then Logan apparently would follow her, and Mary Beth would ask do you want me to hit you? She would flat out admit that do you want me to hit you? And apparently she would admit to grabbing Logan by the neck. She told Allison, the social worker, this. Allison then proceeds to go tell Christy this, and Christy, being the mom, because that's her baby, she then go find Mary Beth and then threatens Mary Beth this is not exactly what she said, but pretty much she said it's gonna be on site if you do that, if you hurt my child again. So then weeks later, didn't specify how many weeks later, just said a couple weeks later, Logan is then moved into the home of a woman named Sally Ann Schofield. We don't have a date of birth on her, but apparently she is the social worker that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Like I said, for some unknown reason, DHS workers are not allowed to have children from the foster care system, but Sally apparently got, and I'm not being funny, apparently her legal government name is Sally, so I'm not even trying to be funny on this one. Sally apparently somehow was able to like slide through the cracks, as she knows what DHS are looking for because, bitch, you work for DHS, like you know what the fuck to look for. Well, she has 2 children, and apparently she's also married. At the time of our story, apparently she had 2 sons. One was 14 named Derek, and the other one was 1 named Shannon. And then, of course, a complaint was made. Don't know who the complaint was made by, but a complaint was luckily made, and they were like, it's going to do more harm than good of removing Logan, since she's been passed around so many families at this point. So we're just going to keep her here, even though we're technically not supposed to have her here. And apparently, they do adoption surveys, at least they did back then, or maybe it just in Maine, I don't know. But apparently there was like an adoption survey that was done, and one of the questions were, what would you do if your child was misbehaving? Or I guess wasn't behaving. So like make sure you're not really like flat out beating them if they're not behaving right. To make sure you're properly parenting them, I guess. Right? Before we give you this whole ass child. So for little old Sally's answers, she apparently put, oh, my kids never misbehave. And I guess she later realized after she had submitted that test that that's kind of like a dumb answer, because like all kids are going to a point where they're like acting up. And so apparently she was like bothering the hell out of these people. Like, I need to change my answer. And apparently she kept bothering them until eventually she was able to change that answer. Now, what she changed the new answer to, don't know. But just thought that was interesting. And so apparently, Logan, thank God, even though she's like 4 or 5 years old, she's smart enough to know that Sally is not her biological mom, like Chrissy is. And Sally, for whatever unknown reason, wants Logan to call her mommy. And obviously, of course, Logan knows who her real mom is. She ain't for this. And so apparently she would punish Logan for not calling her mommy, and apparently even ignore her. So then, of course, apparently we have Kathleen. Kathleen apparently is a therapist for Logan, because like I said earlier, they had recommended some counseling. Kathleen obviously will apparently like notice Sally's behavior to Logan and report her to DHS. She told DHS that she would keep Logan downstairs in the basement. I assume in the dark. They didn't say in the dark, but I would like to assume like in the dark, in a high chair, even though she's like 4 years old, by herself. So you can imagine how that feels for a child. And then apparently Sally herself admitted, yeah, I did do that. So like I said, she's a therapist. Apparently these meetings are supposed to be just the therapist and the child. So just Kathleen and Logan. So Sally's not supposed to be in the room at all. And so apparently Sally would try this thing on Logan, where she repeatedly would have Logan pretty much say that Sally is always right no matter what. Even though obviously a lot of things Sally was doing was like hella wrong. And it got to the point where Logan apparently was repeating this to Christy and calling Sally mommy in front of her actual mother, which I can only imagine how much that would hurt Christy. Okay, like I said, she's going to the therapist meeting. She's supposed to be there by herself. Sally would try to interfere with this and try to be in the room. Kathleen was not having this shit, which I'm glad somebody was not having Sally's shit, and was like, no, this was supposed to be confidential. You're not supposed to be in the room because it can affect what the child says, right? Because when you suspect the child's being abused, you obviously don't have the abuser in the same room, because the child might lie just so they won't get potentially beaten again. So then, October 19, 2000, Sally apparently tells Logan that you are no longer going to see Kathleen. She gets a new therapist. Kathleen, of course, is devastated, but she tells Logan, like, you're going to get a new therapist. Like, I'm sorry. And apparently, like, Logan really likes Kathleen. And so, because that was time that she didn't have to spend with Sally's ass. And so, apparently she was crying, and there was a lot of hugging, and that was the last time Kathleen ever saw Logan. So then Sally, it doesn't say at what point she starts, but I guess this is assumed like after she like drops Kathleen, because Kathleen won't let her like take over and shit. She starts getting hazard pay for Logan, saying that Logan basically was a troubled child. Apparently hazard pay is a thing where if you're a foster parent and you were taking care of a child with special needs, you would get more money than you would as if the child did not have special needs. Logan also did not have special needs, but that's more money in her account, because apparently she was getting like 3 times what she was normally getting paid, simply just saying that Logan was a troubled child. So in Kathleen's notes, this came out later, like after she had stopped like doing counseling for Logan. It came out that Logan apparently was suffering from parentification, which apparently is where like a child is pretending to be a parent for like a sibling or like I guess like a younger person, because like I said, she had Bailey, and Bailey's her younger sister, so she's pretty much pretending to be a parent, even though she still is literally a child herself. And then, of course, Sally's ass comes in and claims that, she actually has reactive attachment disorder, even though there's no proof. Like, they tested her, and there was no proof that she even had that. And then, apparently, Logan starts what is called attachment therapy, and apparently it's a thing where, like, she pretty much was getting, like, disciplined constantly, And apparently it's believed that the more that you do it, the better. So Sally apparently would wrap Logan in a blanket and then just sit on her so she couldn't like move, because obviously Sally's a fully grown ass woman, and like I said, Logan here is like what, 4 or 5 years old, because I'm honestly losing track of dates at this point. And so apparently she would basically try to see if Logan would behave, and once Logan starts behaving, she wouldn't get off her immediately. Apparently she would be allowed to use one limb at a time. One extra limb you get the longer you're behaving. So Christy, like I said, she's still trying to get Logan back, because this is her baby. So she's working retail, gas station, and on a farm. So 3 separate jobs. She doesn't have a license or a car, so she has to walk to all 3 of these jobs and these appointments. And apparently, she would miss some appointments and she would get in trouble for it. Whereas Sally only lived like 30 minutes away with a car, with a working car at that, and she could miss like, I think like 3 meetings within the span of 2 months and not get in trouble. So Sally did not want the girls to have any contact with Christy. You know, this was their mother. Christy would like write a letter to Sally respectfully, because I guess she learned from threatening Mary Beth, I gotta have this in writing. And she respectfully, even though this is her kids here, respectfully asked, can you like not hurt my kids? Because of what happened to Mary Beth, can you like just not hurt my babies? And Sally would try to take this to court and say this is proof that she wanted me to have her kids, because she asked me just not to hurt them. So like I said, Kathleen's out of the picture because she wouldn't let Sally control her. We get a new therapist named Jennifer. Jennifer apparently was told by Sally that Mary Beth had grabbed her by the throat and shook her. Apparently that was confirmed. She also told her that apparently Logan had a Jello shot, but she thought it was just regular Jello, because again, she's a fucking child. And apparently she didn't know there was alcohol in it. She was rushed to the hospital and almost died. And apparently it would later come out that Christy had only told that information to her therapist. So whether Jennifer is her therapist or Christy's therapist and Sally are friends, that was not revealed. There was some confidentiality that was broken right there. So I just thought I should mention that. So on October 12th, 2000, Christy apparently had both the girls for Logan's birthday. Because remember, Logan's birthday, I think it was like August 14th. So it's like an early birthday celebration. But still, at least you get to see your child. So that's good. Apparently, Logan would repeatedly tell Christy that you are my favorite person, not Sally's ass. So she knows that Sally's not good and that, you know, like, I still miss you, like, you're my real mom, all that good stuff. Christy would see a bruise on Logan's butt, and the supervisor that was there, because these visits are still supervised, would immediately say it was diaper rash. Christy, because that's her child, she would tell Logan, hey, if you're being abused, you can tell me. Like, if Sally is hitting you, like, I'll take care of it. And apparently, for some dumb reason, Christy later actually got in trouble for telling her own child that she's being abused. She could like speak up. And so on October 30th, so like the day before Halloween, apparently Christy was trying to tell Logan like nice things about Sally, trying to like, hey, you know, it's not that bad. And apparently like Logan started crying. And apparently this was like after Logan had apparently confided in Christy that like, I don't like Sally. So then on December 18th, so like a whole week before Christmas, apparently they celebrated Christmas early. And this is because the week of Christmas, Sally was planning on taking Logan and Bailey up to Canada. No, whether she had family up in Canada, it didn't say. It just said, plan on taking the girls up to Canada. And apparently, just so casually, while Logan is opening up her Christmas presents, she just casually mentions that she was getting abused. And then just goes back to opening presents like it was nothing. So then, as you can imagine, a report was obviously made to Allison, the caseworker. And then, on actual Christmas Day, Logan would be left alone in her room for like hours at a time by Sally's. I guess as a punishment for like telling your mom that I was over abusing you. And then Sally and Bailey would go over apparently to a babysitter's house. So then on January 3rd, 2001, we have another visit with Christy. And apparently, Logan would just casually just like stop playing and let her know that, hey, this is what Sally and her son was doing to me. I would assume the older son, Derek, because again, Shannon's like 1 year older than it happened. And remember Derek, I think was like 14. So him being a teenager, he obviously would be able to overpower her versus a literal 1 year old. And so, yeah, so Sally, and we assume Derek, would like punish her. So then for whatever reason, these claims are like never investigated. And apparently Allison and Sally are going back and forth planning on giving Sally like sole custody of the 2 girls and taking away Christy's legal parental rights. So then Caitlin, the grandmother, she apparently was able to see the Christmas supervised visit and obviously realized something wasn't right and made a report with Allison. On January 26th, apparently Christy had found out, I don't know if this was during a visit, but apparently she found out on this date that Logan is over getting coached into thinking that Schofield, which is Sally's last name. It's her new name. Because remember, like I said, they're trying to like adopt. They're trying to take away Christy's rights and have trying to have Logan go into Sally's custody. And so apparently, you're probably wondering where the hell is Logan's dad? Logan's dad was still trying to get like custody of these girls. Because, well, Logan was his kid. You know, like I said, Bailey was a part of the rape. Logan's dad, John, he's over here trying to get visits, trying to get custody of his daughter, Logan. He would complain that apparently the visits were too far away. So what they do, they proceed to move the meetings, the custody hearings to a new location. However, they move it an additional 40 minutes away, making it even more difficult for him. And apparently, the judge would judge him for like little shit that he did. Like, he would bring snacks for Logan, and apparently even Bailey. But because that the cooler that he brought the snacks in were a little bit dirty, apparently he was marked as an abuse. So also, these meetings were held in like apparently a small, dirty basement room, which I feel like that's not where the meeting should be held at all. But like, I guess he was really desperate to get his daughter back, so he wasn't really trying to complain. Because like with Christy, trying to comply with everything that they want in hopes that they'll just leave me alone and give me back my child. So then her dad apparently sets up a birthday party. And apparently it wasn't like Logan's birthday, because like I said, her birthday's in October, and this is like, and we're like in February 2001 now. I guess late January, about to be February 2001. So it's about to be a birthday party. Logan's supposed to be invited. Can I have custody of her for like 5 hours? If it makes y'all feel better, you literally can have anybody from DHS come to make sure that Logan's well-being is, like, she's well cared for, her well-being is all there. And apparently he is given permission at first, but then Allison, with her ass, she proceeds to take the permission back out of nowhere. Apparently he argues with her, she gives it back. She takes it back again and says, y'all go to McDonald's for the birthday in Augusta. And so then he gets frustrated and says, we're just not going to do anything. And apparently he would later say that he regretted not doing that. And obviously, considering what happens pretty soon after this, you'll see why. So then on January 31st, 2001, apparently it was like really bad snow that day. Even though apparently from like Maine it like snows a lot, but it was like snowing really bad. And so school was still open despite it being snow, because I guess over there in Maine they ain't feel letting no snow stop them unless it's like probably even like a blizzard. Again, I don't know because I never lived there, but that's what I imagine. And so Dean, apparently who's Sally's husband, he goes to work. And Logan, because again, she's like this innocent 5-year-old girl, she probably tells Sally like, oh, well, you know, school's canceled. And so then Sally checks with Dean. Obviously, this is not true. School's still open. Y'all still finna come to school, despite the snow. And so then apparently she tells Logan that you're gonna get punished after school for lying about school being closed. So then she tells the neighbor, the babysitter Becca, like, hey, like, when you come over, Logan's on punishment for lying about school being closed. And so basically, like, give her a timeout and I'll deal with her when I get back home. So then Logan apparently was in the room that was designated for her, and then she went to sleep. She was still asleep when Sally came home. And apparently when she woke up and Sally was home, apparently she had woke up screaming. The stories as to what Sally claims happened, because obviously we don't have Logan's word, unfortunately, apparently they differ greatly, like, every time she tells it. And so the first time she said it, she apparently gently asked Logan what was wrong. This is after Logan had woke up screaming. And then apparently in a different version, she then claimed that she asked Logan to stop screaming, because apparently she was still screaming, so that Bailey and her son, which I assume was the older son Derek, but it's not confirmed, could take their after-school naps. So then she then has the older son Derek go take a high chair down to the basement. She then takes Logan downstairs to said basement and keeps her in the high chair behind a curtain, so that way you wouldn't first see her when you walked into said basement. You have to look behind the curtain, basically. And apparently she would, like, allegedly check on her every couple minutes to see, like, what, you know, are you done screaming? Like, are you good? Like, can we proceed with the day like normal? And then apparently she claimed that she noticed the screaming had stopped around 4:47 p.m. because apparently she was making pork chops for dinner. So then Sally goes back down to the basement and sees Logan tipped over in the high chair, no pulse, not breathing. Obviously, that's not good. The son, Derek, says that she went downstairs at least twice after noticing that the screams had stopped. Sally would claim that she did CPR, but she did call 911, so that's who called 911 was Sally. And then apparently Logan's body was moved to the area of the basement that had carpet. I guess so it wouldn't look as bad, because the part of the basement where she had tipped over at didn't have carpet, so she was moved right below, like right where the bottom of the stairs are at to get into the basement. It apparently had carpet there, so she was moved there. And then apparently Logan had pissed herself, which apparently that's like really common after somebody dies because like your body's like releasing stuff. Police and paramedics get there, and apparently she'd actually thrown up on one of the men's shoulders, which is like apparently referred to as post-mortem regurgitation. So she was already dead by this point, but apparently, yeah, she had thrown up. So Logan is officially declared dead at the hospital at only 5 years old. Sally suggested it may have been head injury or cardiac arrest. However, apparently Logan's cause of death was revealed to have been suffocation. So obviously not natural. So then police investigate the house because it's a 5-year-old that dies, and you don't see 5-year-olds dying every single day. And they find 42 feet worth of duct tape that had been used, and some of it even had hair on said duct tape, which later came back to obviously be Logan's hair, as you can imagine. And it was said that she had at least 3 layers of tape around her mouth. So then Sally's ass claims that apparently she actually did put the duct tape around Logan, but that she was just showing her how to play with it, because apparently Logan was not playing with it like properly, but I did take it off before I went upstairs. So that's why Logan's hair is on it, because I wrapped it around her. So then for some weird ass reason, so like a whole month later, I guess they needed enough evidence to like officially charge Sally. On March 8th, so we're in a whole new month now, they finally charged Sally, but they charged her with like depraved indifference homicide. Her bail was only $500. Obviously this caused community outrage because it's the death of a child we're talking about here. So her bail is raised to $12,500. Apparently she's released on bail, so somebody actually paid that bail. Dean, the husband, put up the house, and her 2 kids, Derek and Shannon, they go to DHS custody, but then are put into custody of family members. Oh, and also, she wasn't arrested until like 5 days later. So like really, she wasn't even arrested until, she was charged March 8th, but officially arrested March 13th. So it didn't say whether she was on the run, and I assume she was living at the house the whole time, just chilling. So, yeah. So then the trial starts the following year. So I guess they were pretty quick, trying to make sure, get this lady to be in jail where she belongs. And she asked for pretty much a trial where there's no jury, just a judge. And apparently you could ask for that. And apparently she actually got granted that for some weird reason. And the prosecutor, in order to get, because again, we're trying to get this woman convicted because she didn't kill the whole ass child. So they bring in a doll and a high chair. Obviously you can't use this on an actual child. As a visual, because some people need a visual, and we wrapped 42 feet of duct tape around this child to show that it is possible, that show that Sally did in fact kill Logan. That was on June 25th. On September 16th, she's sentenced to 28 years, so she still technically should have been in prison because this happened in 2002. However, 14 of those years are technically she's out. So 14 years she serves in prison, and then like 8 years probation, 6 years suspended, but essentially only serves 14 years. And could potentially get out even earlier with good behavior. And she's also, apparently it's also as a punishment, she's not allowed to have contact with kids under the age of 14. It didn't say like, oh, without supervision. It said you can't have contact with kids under 14 like at all. Anyway, apparently there was an appeal because apparently the judge is not allowed to give that sort of sentence by himself. And so she gets resentenced to 20 years with 3 suspended. So really 17 years in jail. And then apparently Allison, the little social worker, she only gets a punishment of a month off, but she was paid for it. Essentially could have took a month vacation if she wanted to. And no charges were filed against anybody else. So really only Sally is getting put in prison, and that's not even really a prison sentence if you think about it, like 17 years, because it's happened way back in 2002. Bailey, because you're probably wondering where the hell she go, she was put into another family, but she would eventually get returned back to Christy. So she got Bailey back. As you can imagine, Christy proceeds to go sue the state of Maine and basically saying like it was your negligence that's the reason why my child Logan is dead, which, yeah. And then apparently the money that she won from the case she used to pay lawyer fees, because you know that's expensive as hell, and started a trust fund for Bailey whenever Bailey gets old enough and goes to college. Because like I said, Bailey's born in 98, so she's an adult right now. And the last thing I saw of Bailey, she did in fact get accepted into a college. And apparently she was rewarded like $400,000. So remember how I said Sally was supposed to serve like 17 years, meaning she's supposed to get out sometime in like 2019, but possibly could have got out earlier because of like good behavior and shit. Well, she got out April 25th, 2017. So she served less than 15 years for basically being involved in the murder of Logan and everything that she could put Christy through and shit. Originally she was supposed to get released around Logan's birthday. Didn't specify like how close, but somewhere around that time frame. And Christy, understandably, she was like, you already killed my daughter. You're not going to get released around the time she was born. Because that's just disrespectful to the victim. And Christy, understandably, was not happy. So then Christy, the mom, she would sadly die of cancer on November 20th, 2017. So Christy and Logan have now since passed. Bailey, from what I've seen, is still alive. Apparently she's doing pretty well. She wrote a whole essay. Her college essay to get in was actually about the death of Logan. And apparently it's like very emotional. I've read it. And apparently it is available online. You might have to yeah, it's pretty emotional. So just a heads up if you do decide to look for it. In September of 2021, apparently Maine came out with this program where it's called Walk a Mile in Their Shoes, which apparently is children that have died as a result of abuse. In the state of Maine, of course. So, and of course, Logan being one of those children, her name is obviously mentioned, hence why I'm mentioning it right now. And so that is pretty much the case of Logan Marr. It was what is publicly known, because like I said, you can imagine the stuff that Sally did to her that she never revealed, and that DHS tried to hide, and that is not publicly available. So yeah, definitely know what you think down below. I definitely don't think Sally should be out in the streets. Definitely not after 15 years. She's lucky it's not like a well-known case, like widely well-known, like Casey Anthony type shit well-known, because I'm pretty sure she would have got her ass whooped, even if she is technically older, because, you know, people don't exactly react to child killers well. Which I say most people, because, you know, yeah. And so, yeah, definitely know what you think down below. If you have any cases similar to Logan Marr, they're not as well-known, but there's definitely failure after failure, especially like a social worker was the one that killed them, because that was the first for me. And so, if anybody has any similar cases to this, definitely let me know. I'm here for you guys 3 times every Friday. Subscribe for more favorite females, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed, thinking something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you, and it's twisted, you've been gifted with the evil voodoo. Got me coming back for more, even when I've been screwed. Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through. I got issues in my head, I like you in my bed, but you keep me on red. Oh, everything is like a test, I better not text or I'll come off desperate.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed, thinking something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
So if I play dead, will you regret everything that you did, that you said? I don't think you understand what you're doing, and my heart's black and blue from the bruising. I feel like when I'm with you I'm losing. I feel like you think that this amusing, sitting there gaslighting and confusing. Was it me? Is it me? Am I deluded? I'm the one who's always sorry, the conclusion, even though I offer all of the solutions. I wish you loved me like I love you, it's stupid. When I'm alone with you I never feel lucid. I wish I wasn't struck by Cupid. I wish when I first saw you I knew this. When I'm with you I feel so useless, I feel diluted, my heart's been wounded. Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick